Lancelot, Jeremy Lancelot. Look, he's been missing for only 12 hours. His twin brother escaped from prison. I don't want to take any chances on this. I want to send a couple of men out on this just in case there's a connection, okay? Look, I don't need your approval. You understand what I'm talking about? If I tell you this thing... I'll call you back. What happened?
Think you can give me a cup of coffee?
We wish to see Charles Carpenter.
We?
This is his residence, is it not?
Yes, of course it is. But, oh, you have no right to walk in here
Step
like
aside
this.
for the Princess Ulanda Dar Salam.
Princess?
Yes, and you will go and get your employer immediately.
Now, woman.
Look, you should have just made some kind of an excuse and slipped out of that bar.
I couldn't. There wasn't any time.
Then you should have given us a call.
Look, she practically dragged me out of there, Sergeant Brubaker. She was convinced that I was Lance.
You're lucky to be alive, you know that?
Look, I'm sorry. I saw a chance and I took it. Under the circumstance, I did the best that I could.
Yeah. Now what have we got? You don't even know where she took you. She made you duck down behind the back seat because she thought you were Lance. You didn't get to see anything. All you know is that she took you to some old boat that's tied up to some dock. You don't know if it's a river, a lake, a pond.
Okay, all right. But isn't the fact that he's held up somewhere near the water, isn't that of some help?
Do you know how much water there is around here? There's the Elizabeth
Yes,
River, the
I
Kingsley
do.
River.
Sergeant, I know.
Lake Aston, the South Fork of the Lexington, and it all empties into the Kingsley Harbor.
I don't need a lesson in geography.
And I'm not even mentioning those two small bodies of water, the Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake Bay.
All right. You made your point. It was an isolated area. Is that of some help?
Ugh.
Okay. I'm sorry. It was a stupid thing to do.
You want some more coffee?
No.
You must have had it before. You're lucky you got out with a bump on your head and a night in the dumpster. That brother of yours is really...
I know all about my brother, Sergeant Brubaker.
All right. What about the girl? What does she look like?
She's short, about 5'1", brown hair, squeaky voice, foul mouth.
Yeah, that's Paula James. I think she'd have learned her lesson by now.
She and Lance were a team before?
Well, yeah, you could say that, all except I never thought it was her idea. She ain't saying anything about them getting out of Kingsley?
No. But as a matter of fact, I got the exact opposite impression. She said something to the effect that she had all the necessary information on Russ Weaver. And then she said that I was stupid for what I was doing.
Russ Weaver, that's really terrific. That's the first useful thing you said. Give me Manelli.
Am I free to go now?
Yeah, but listen, if something like this comes up again, please give me a call. Don't go out there and try and play Magnum P.I., okay?
I guess I do look a little like him, don't I?
I'll hold. I'm serious.
I know you are. I promise, no more heroics.
Oh, incidentally, they found a Dar Salam Bible.
What?
Terry Davison and Dave Phillips, they found it. It's a long story.
Where is it right now?
Well, it's over at Charles Carpenter's. I didn't think it was such a good... I just wish someone would listen to me once. Yes, Manelli. Yeah, well, we got rid of one problem, and now we got another. Yeah.
You did what?
I went to Chicago to see Phyllis Carpenter. Relax, it's no big deal.
Well, I'm glad you don't think so.
It was something I had to do.
Why?
Because I want to see for myself what I'm up against.
I was under the impression that it was over for you and Courtney.
It's not over. Not yet. Because of something Mrs. Carpenter's nurse told me.
Although my family is no longer in possession of the Bible, we are still very much concerned about its safety.
Oh, well, I certainly quite understand that. You see, Princess, a man of my station has access to limited information. Subsequently, I don't hear what they're saying on the street about the Bible.
Are you implying that the princess does?
Oh, no, certainly not. Well, since you clearly have had such a long association with it and know so much about it, I also thought that you might have heard some of the things that are rumored about it. That's all. No offense meant at all.
Well, none was taken. Samir is a little over-anxious, shall we say, at times. If he had been listening more attentively, just as I did, he would have understood what you said in your statement.
If one may be so bold, where is the Bible now?
Right here, of course.
In this house?
Well, temporarily. Does that upset you?
No, no, not at all. And in fact, it even pleases me. You see, Mr. Carpenter, I did have another reason for coming here to see you. I would like to see the Bible once again. You see, when I was a very little girl, I awoke one night from a terrible dream. My father and I were close even then. But when the nurse could not calm my fears, she sent for my father. I'll never forget that night. Well, you see, his study was next to my nursery, and so he took me there, and we sat there for hours and just talked and laughed, and he said he would read to me from any book on the shelf that I chose.
And you, of course, chose that Bible.
Yes, it was the prettiest one. But no matter. So he read to me from the 100th Psalm. Do you know, I think he read from that one because it was the shortest one. But that began my fascination with the Dar es Salaam Bible. And many times after that, I would sneak into his study and I would read it. I'd look at it for hours. Call it indulging a childish fancy, but for sentimental reasons, I too would like to bid on the Bible. But first, I should like the privilege of seeing it once again. You see, Mr. Carpenter, the possibility exists that this Bible is an imitation of my family's. And I do not wish to waste any more time. You see, I feel so terribly stupid already. I was just wondering if perhaps I could see the Bible again.
Well, of course you can. I'll have my housekeeper bring it in for us. Mrs. Lucas.
Yes, sir, right away. Can I help you, sir?
Mrs. Lucas, would you please bring the Dar es Salaam Bible to us?
Yes, sir.
Princess, let me address myself to your concern that it might be an imitation. My researcher has investigated thoroughly, and he assures me that it's genuine. Now, anyone like a drink?
Yes, sir.
No, none of us would.
Oh.
Oh, here we go, sir. It's rather heavy.
Thank you.
Mr. Watson.
Mr. Carpenter, Sergeant Brubaker told me that you got the Bible.
And you want to see the doctor for? Mr. Sanders? Mr. Sanders! Hey! You!
What?
You are Vic Sanders, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, what do you want to see the doctor about?
Why do I have to tell you?
Because I work here, and I asked you nicely.
Well, thank you, but I'd prefer to tell the doctor myself.
Look, we've got a nice little system here. It works real well. It saves us all a lot of time and trouble.
I'll tell him myself.
Do you see this white hat and this white uniform? What do you think they mean?
That you're getting married this afternoon.
No. It means that there isn't anything you can say that will shock or embarrass me.
Well, perhaps it will embarrass me. So I'll thank you. I'll do my own explaining.
Have a seat.
May I help you?
Probably.
Give me a break.
What are you doing tonight?
Probably trying to erase the memory of you.
Mr. Sanders. Mr. Sanders.
Yes,
Dr. Martin will see you now. Last exam room at the end of the hall.
thank you.
Want some advice? Next time, just use John Doe. It's sort of more to the point, and it's easier to remember.
Hi, come on in. Have a seat. Well, what seems to be the problem?
Well, before we get to that, I'd like to ask you a question.
Okay.
What we talk about will be kept in the strictest confidence.
Yes.
I mean, you and me. Well, for instance, that nurse. She won't.
Well, that I can't tell you until I know what the problem is. And this clinic is staffed by 2 doctors. So if you need to come back, I can't guarantee that I'll be the one you see. But other than that, yes. Any information we receive is handled as professionally as any other healthcare facility. So, what's the problem?
I think that I have sexual problems.
Well, that's a broad category. Can you be a little more specific?
I mean, in relation to women, I find it very hard to.
Go on.
I don't believe I have a normal reaction to them.
Do you think you're impotent?
Probably. And probably sterile as well. That's why I'm here.
I can understand your uncertainty about the sterility, but impotence, well, what do you mean you think that it's a possibility?
Well, I said that because I'm not sure what's considered to be normal.
Well, that kind of information is readily available these days. You haven't done any research on your own?
No.
Well, look, Mr. Sanders, let's just be honest with one another, okay? I mean, if one of my regular patients came in here, I could believe them making that statement because the illiteracy rate is, well, it's very high in this neighborhood. But I don't believe you're from around here. And you've obviously had advantages that the people around here have never had. So if you really are ignorant about this problem, then it's because you've chosen to be. And personally, I find that a little hard to believe.
Sometimes we make strange choices when we're afraid.
Okay. You're aware there's a problem. How?
Listening to locker room bragging, huh? Comments made by associates. I don't know, with limited exposure to what's said about it in the news. I've just realized that my experiences with women are not like those of other men. I mean, of course, I've always joined in on the joking about it. Obviously, not to would have singled me out. And a smile and silence is often interpreted as modesty for my expertise. Sometimes I flat out lied. But I can't do that any longer. Now I find myself in the position where I need help and I need answers.
I see. Well, there are several kinds of impotence. Anatomic, an actual physical defect, a tonic, paralysis of certain nerves in the pelvic area, or psychological.
What about sterility? I mean,
well, let's not worry about that until I've done some tests.
Doctor, that's my greatest concern.
Well, that could be for any number of reasons. I need your medical history, and I need to give you an examination. So I'll tell you what. Why don't you put that on, let me go in here, start another patient, and I'll come back in and take care of you. You know, I am curious about one thing, though. Why'd you choose this clinic? I mean, obviously you can afford a private doctor.
The anonymity that this clinic offers is very comforting. This is a delicate matter. Were it bungled, it could be devastating for me. And of course, I'll be able to pay you. Thank you very much. Please tell the doctor that I'll call him later and make an appointment.
Oh, so this is your game, Mr. Carpenter. You've been involved in this conspiracy all along, haven't you?
Jeremy, what on earth are you talking about?
I'm talking about these thugs you're hanging out with
Who
here.
is this person?
Why, we have a short memory, don't we? I'm the same guy that you held up at the airport, remember?
You will not speak to the princess in that tone.
Princess, huh? Well, that's beautiful. What's that make you, Mr. Carpenter? Are you an earl? Or are you a king?
You mind your manners. This is Princess Ulanda Darsalam of Doria.
Oh, it's royalty, I see now. It all starts to make sense to me.
Silence!
You want me to be quiet? Shoot me.
Just a moment.
That is enough, Samir. This is obviously a case of mistaken identity. The American is extremely rude, but we shall excuse it.
Will you excuse the fact that you stole the Dar es Salaam Bible from the clinic? That you shot Dr. Phillips?
Jeremy, these people are here to bid on the Bible.
No,
Precisely.
they're here to take the Bible.
You know, I'm trying to be very patient with you, Jeremy, but I'm not going to take any more of this. Now, if you don't get out of here immediately, I'm going to lose my composure completely.
We don't know who these people are.
You're wrong. They are a delegation from Doria.
Now listen, think for a second. Now, don't you remember the people that I described to you who stole the Bible? They fit that description exactly.
Now, Mr. Carpenter, if we were who this gentleman says that we were, would we not have taken the Bible and fled the moment you showed it to us?
That would have been easy enough, you know that.
But never mind, never mind. This gentleman's agitated state has caused you enough aggravation, I'm sure. So, we shall leave as we came, in peace. Thank you, Mr. Carpenter, and I do look forward to seeing you at the auction.
Thank you.
The nurse told me that Preston Carpenter's thinking about moving his wife to someplace cheaper. Now, if this is true, Courtney's excuse for getting married doesn't exist.
I don't know, Peter. That was pretty confidential information. And the way you went about it, pretending to be Vaughn.
Hold it. I didn't pretend anything. They assumed I was Vaughn, and of course I let them.
You know what I mean.
I've been outmaneuvered on this thing by everybody. By Preston Carpenter and Charles Carpenter and Vaughn. I'm sick of being on the outside looking in. And now I'm having just a little bit of leverage, and you better believe it, I'm going to use it.
How?
I'm going to go to Courtney. I'm going to tell her. I'm under the impression that she doesn't know, that nobody knows. Yeah, I think she has a right to know.
Maybe she does. But I think you're making a big mistake. You're assuming that you can fight them on their level. And I'm not so sure you can.
I'm going to call the police.
Absolutely not. If you bring the police into it, she might not come to the auction.
So what? They're violent people. Don't you understand? They were putting on an act. If I hadn't come by there sooner, Mr. Carpenter, you would have been killed.
Jeremy, no one was harmed.
Oh, that's easy for you to say.
And she even authenticated the Bible.
Look, you should have never let us see it in the first place.
We still have it, don't we?
It's only because I arrived. And incidentally, I authenticated that Bible for you months ago.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Jeremy, use your head. Don't you understand that we can publicize the fact that Princess Ulanda Darsalam is here to bid on her own family's Bible? Think of the interest that's going to stir up.
Now listen, that woman and those thugs have already created enough interest as it is. They're criminals. You understand? They tried to kill people. Now, I have just as much interest in this museum auction as you do. But I promise you something, if we let them come, they're going to create a lot more harm than good. And it's my duty to report it to the police and let them know.
All I can tell you, Jeremy, is that we'll investigate. Even with a positive ID, I just don't think it's going to do any good.
Well, why not?
Diplomatic immunity.
You're kidding me.
I wish I was. A couple of years back, some yahoo from the UN, some guy from one of those little Arab countries got drunk, got in a car, and ran over a little girl, and I couldn't touch him.
So what do? We just sit back and let them do whatever they want?
No. We're going to be keeping an eye on him.
But you are going to let the princess come to the auction.
If that's what she chooses to do, yes.
Excellent.
Well, at least post your man conspicuously around the museum so they're not tempted to take the Bible again.
That is precisely, Sergeant, what you are not going to do.
I beg your pardon?
I will not have a battalion of uniforms standing around. It makes people uneasy.
You know, it's been my experience, Mr. Carpenter, that honest people never feel uneasy around police. Good day, gentlemen.